passion and dedication can take you further than any certificate.
I always say, why do you want to be put into a box when there's a whole world outside of the box?
She didn't wait for a degree, a perfect plan, or someone's permission to start. She led by doing, grew by serving, and built credibility one beautiful image at a time. What advice would you give to creatives who feel like frauds despite their talent?
So, my advice would be to
Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to the Confident Alchemist podcast, where bold women take the brave leap to build businesses and lives they deserve. I'm Debbie, and today I have someone with me whose work literally preserves the most important moments of people's lives, and whose journey proves that you don't need a formal degree to build something extraordinary. I'm here with Jayde, a self-taught photographer, videographer, graphic designer, and content creator, whose artistic eye and genuine heart for clients have taken her from pocket money beginnings to winning the top winning Veda Award in her category. Jayde grew up in a household where entrepreneurship wasn't just about talked about, it was lived. Both her parents ran their own businesses, so the idea of building something of her own was always part of her DNA. She didn't study formally after school. Instead, she learned through mentorship programs, internships, and sheer determination to master her craft. Today, JD serves newly engaged couples, small businesses, and large corporates with photography, videography, graphic design, social media management, and content creation. What sets her apart isn't just her technical skills, it's her artistic approach and a commitment to going the extra mile from the very first interaction to the final delivery. And last year, the industry took notice. JD entered the top winning vendor awards, not expecting to win, not even expecting to make the finals. She won top prize in a category, a moment she described as the one of the proudest moments of her career. As someone who believes your background doesn't determine your ceiling, I'm excited to explore JD's journey. A self-taught path, a battle with imposter syndrome, a commitment to slowing down, and a vision for building a creative empire that inspires other women along the way. JD, welcome to the show.
thank you. I'm excited to be here.
You grew up watching both parents run their own businesses and chose mentorship and internship over formal studies. How did that upbringing give you the confidence to take such an unconventional path? And what would you say to women who feel they need formal qualifications before they can be taken seriously?
So obviously, it was in my DNA from the get-go. Both of my parents always encouraged me to pursue my dreams, dream big, and anything you want, you can achieve.
Beautiful.
So I, from a little girl, had multiple businesses, from pet sitting to McDee's jewelry, and it's just always been what I've done. I could never see myself working in an office.
Yes.
I don't enjoy sitting still. I like being busy. I like creating.
Yes.
So for me, it was kind of the thing of, this is what I'm going to do. Obviously, as a little girl, you have a dream of like doing multiple different jobs. And then I've always been artistic. So the art path kind of just opened up for me. That's how I ended up where I am now. But in terms of education, I did have the opportunity to go study, but I declined because I felt like it would be a waste of my parents' money. I felt like half of the information would come in, yeah, and other half I was instead I chose a route that would still give me knowledge, but that would work for me and what I need. Thus, going with internships and mentorships and courses like that. So I don't think that you need a formal education in order to have a successful business. It might be a bit more challenging, it might be a bit more bumpy, but you can definitely achieve what all the people with a degree or uh, formal education have, so that you can still have your own business.
Yeah. I think, that formal education just actually gives a little bit more credibility in the long run. But if you are naturally inclined to be artistic, to be creative, you can use that passion and that talent you've got and you can create something beautiful from that.
Exactly. Like I always say, why do you want to be put into a box when there's a whole world outside of the box? As I just feel sometimes, like obviously there's different opinions, but I feel like being put in a box, that's just not for me. I'm not that's a box type of person. And yeah, I just studied or didn't study, but learned in various ways. Okay. Beautiful.
You said something that really struck me, that what you do isn't just photography, it's capturing memories. In a world where everyone has a camera in the pocket, how do you communicate that value to a client? And what does going the extra mile looks like in your business?
So obviously, we live in a day and age where everyone has a phone, everyone's constantly taking photos. But the way I see it is you get a good photo and you get a bad photo, right? Okay. Let's just be honest.
Yes, I know you do.
I take horrible phone photos. I don't know why, but I take horrible phone photos. But coming back to that, so you get good photos, you get bad photos. But what I feel sets me apart ultimately is the way I compose an image, my story behind it. Because I look at lights, I look at composition, I look at like the super fine details, like is an eyelash out of place, is your lipstick skew, or is your collar askew, like very fine details. And then when I take the photo, ultimately my goal is to not just take a photo, but to preserve a memory, to evoke emotion so that it's not just a photo, but it's telling a story. Beautiful. And so, obviously, going the extra miles, what I do is I have multiple meetings with my clients, whether you're a newly engaged couple, woman starting your own businesses, or, whatever area you're in. I have multiple sessions with you to get to know your personality so that when we're shooting, that I approach it with such a way as to bring out your personality, as to bring out your story, so that this is portrayed in the images that you get, whether it is weddings, papers, whatever it is, so that you're comfortable behind the camera, so that your true personality shines, and thus allows me to bring out the story. And
Oh, that's very beautiful. You've been incredibly honest about really struggling with imposter syndrome, in both the small tasks and the big ones. You've also admitted that you tend to run full speed ahead without always having a plan. How have you learned to manage both of these? And what advice would you give to creatives who feel like frauds despite their talents?
so obviously, again, coming back to the day and age we live in, it's social media everywhere, it's news everywhere. So it's very difficult to not compare yourself to someone. I mean, we're doing it constantly, whether it is with what they're wearing or what they're achieving, we're literally constantly comparing ourselves. So I like to disconnect from myself, okay, and view myself from someone else's perspective because we're so caught up in looking at ourselves from our own eyes that we don't see you're achieving stuff, whether it is making a good cup of coffee, ticking everything off from your to-do list, or having a successful business. And success is different for everyone. And you need to be able to identify what your success is versus someone else's success is. So it's just taking a step back, looking at it from someone else's perspective, and acknowledging that I am achieving. Doesn't matter that it's not what someone else is achieving because they're on a different path, they're on a different journey from what I am. And I need to just ground myself, take a breath, slow down,
Yes, exactly.
and just be like, okay, but I have achieved. I am doing good. And that's perfect for where I'm at.
Exactly.
And so my advice would be to slow down, coming from someone who doesn't slow down. But slow down, take a moment, whether it is once a day, once a week, once a month, and just be like, this is what I've achieved this month. This is what I have achieved this week. And just breathe. You don't need to be constantly running a race with people that aren't running a race with you.
Exactly.
And I think that's important to just breathe and slow
Slow
down.
down. Beautiful advice.
Thank you.
Last year, you entered the TWV Awards without expecting to win or even make the finals. Then you won top prize in your category. Take me back to that moment. What did that moment mean to you personally?
So obviously, I've been following them for quite a time,
Yeah.
years actually, and never felt good enough, never felt confidence enough to be able to enter. And last year, I took a leave. I'm like, I am going to submit just one photo. Didn't think I would make the finalists. Obviously, received an email, was overjoyed that I made finalists. I'm like, this is perfect. I don't need more than this. And obviously, singing to myself, like, I mean, deep down, I was like, I would love to win, but I'm not gonna win. There's people that are better out there than me, you know. And then obviously they host an awards evening, so you get all dressed up and the geeks and socialize and network with people in your industry. And I remember sitting next to one of my colleagues. Her category was first. I'm like, well done, you've got this. And then she won. And I was so overjoyed for her. And I'm like, that's great. Like, I really encourage people. And I feel, sorry to stray off of Tom here just slightly, but in a world that's so competitive, I feel competition against women is
Yes.
even more so.
The woman against woman, eh?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And so I was so proud of her, so happy for her that she won. She obviously came back, sit next to me. My category is next. I'm like, okay, cool.
What was your categories?
I think it was best style photo. Beautiful, yes. And so they're like, these are the finalists. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'm gonna be proud, I'm gonna be happy no matter who wasn't. And they call my name. And I kind of just didn't hear, didn't register. And she's like, that's you, you won. And I was like, wow, I won. I was so excited. I was so overwhelmed with joy that I actually won. Obviously went up to stage, got it, and yeah, I see that as a really big achievement. It was coming back to the imposter syndrome thing. I didn't believe that I could do it, but I'm able to achieve it. And so that was a really big win for me.
And now you actually have the evidence and the confidence to know that you can even go for bigger things and more categories.
Definitely. I am. Submissions are due, I think, 2 weeks time. So I'm trying to decide what I'm going to do. But yeah.
You believe in slowing down in a fast paced world and want to show women that they can have businesses and a balanced life. You're also currently training photographers and videographers in your approach. Where do you see this business in 5 years? And what's your most important advice for young creative women wanting to build businesses around their art?
So obviously my goal in 5 years' time is to be able to slow down a little more. And what I mean with that is building a team that's capable of upholding my business standards
Yes.
so that, you know, I can have a weekend off and know that there's a team out there still delivering high quality products to my clients, because you know currently I'm working weekdays, weekends. It's just crazy, and it's hard to find that balance. You know, so I need to currently say no to work so that I can have lose that balance, recharge. Because if I'm constantly working, there's no time to feel myself creatively. Yeah, my team needs to be able to step in, take on a workload so that I can rest. Obviously, you know, with that being to build an empire so that my legacy can continue, so that all people can be fueled creatively and see that, you know, you're able to do this no matter where you come from, no matter your challenges, no matter your background.
Exactly.
So, my advice would be to have a community behind you, have a support structure, you know, go out and network, go out and rules other people in your creative field that understand what you're going to go through, because you're going to have struggles, whether you're coming from a background that has formal education or whether you're coming from a background that doesn't have formal education. You're going to have struggles in your business. You're going to feel like you want to give up. So having that personal support structure as well as community in your field where they're like, you got this, you're doing good, and you can continue creating and continue to breathe and take a step if you need to with someone helping you.
Jayde, thank you for sharing your journey with us and for the reminder that artistry, authenticity, and a genuine heart for your clients will always stand out in a crowded industry. Here's what strikes me most about Jayde. She didn't wait for a degree, a perfect plan, or someone's permission to start. She led by doing, grew by serving, and built credibility one beautiful image at a time. Four powerful lessons from this conversation. First, Your background is not your barrier. JD built an award-winning business without formal qualifications because passion and dedication can take you further than any certificate. Second, imposter syndrome doesn't disqualify you. It means you care deeply about doing good work. Act despite it. Don't wait for it to disappear. Third, slowing down is a competitive advantage. JD's commitment to balance and creative and recharge makes the work better, not worse. Fourth, celebrate your wins. JD entered an award, not expecting to win, and won top prize. Don't overlook what you've achieved because you're too focused on what's next. If you need a photographer or a videographer who will treat your memories with the urgency and care that they deserve, whether it's your wedding, your brand, or your business, reach out to JD. Send me a message and tell me about an achievement you've been overlooking. What's your version of JD's TWV win that you haven't stopped to celebrate yet? Remember what JD showed us today, that when you combine genuine artistry with authentic care, when you fight through imposter syndrome instead of hiding from it, and when you build a business that honors both your work and your life, you don't just capture beautiful images, you create a legacy worth remembering. Thank you for listening, beautiful souls. See you next week for another dose of truth, boldness, and transformation.